It was an ordinary January afternoon in Cedar Falls, Iowa, when Officer Ryan Hutchins received a routine call about a domestic dispute on Riverside Avenue. Nothing out of the ordinary, he thought, as he drove his patrol car down the quiet street lined with white-painted wooden houses. But what began as a normal day was about to turn into something he would never forget. When Ryan parked in front of number 847, a woman was already on the porch, yelling something unintelligible. She was wearing a red sweatshirt with the word "Champs" printed on it and gesturing violently at the neighbor next door. Ryan sighed. Another fence dispute, probably. He got out of the car and walked to the front door of the house, noticing that the woman was in her early 30s, with wavy blonde hair and an expression of pure indignation on her face. "Good afternoon, ma'am. This is Officer Hutchins. I received a call about a disturbance here. Could you explain what's happening?" The woman turned sharply to him, as if she had just noticed his presence. "Finally! You took forever. That idiot neighbor is dumping his trash on my property again, and I've warned him 1,000 times that I won't tolerate it." Ryan glanced to the side and saw a middle-aged man standing in the neighboring yard, arms crossed, observing the scene with a mixture of exhaustion and resignation. "Sir, could you come over here for a moment?" The neighbor walked slowly to the fence that divided the properties. "Officer, I just put the trash bag on the sidewalk like I do every Wednesday. She's saying the sidewalk is her property, but it's not. The sidewalk is public," the woman exploded. "It's not about the sidewalk, it's about respect. You always do this on purpose because you know it irritates me. You're a provocateur." Ryan raised his hand, trying to diffuse the situation. "Ma'am, let's stay calm. If the trash bag is on the public sidewalk, there's no violation of property. You have every right to put your trash there." It was at that moment that everything went wrong. The woman stepped forward, invading Ryan's personal space, pointing her finger in his face. "You don't understand anything. You police officers never understand. You always defend the men. You always take their side." Ryan stepped back slightly, maintaining a professional demeanor. "Madam, I need you to take a step back. I'm not taking sides. I'm simply explaining the law." But she didn't back down. Instead, she advanced even further, and her voice rose 2 tones. "You're on my property. Get out of here now." Ryan took a deep breath. He'd dealt with difficult people before, but there was something about her arrogance that was starting to irritate him. "Ma'am, I was called here. I'm not leaving until the situation is resolved. Now please calm down." The woman then made the fatal mistake. She pushed Ryan in the chest with both hands. It wasn't a hard push, but it was a push. And pushing a police officer on duty is assault. Ryan felt the adrenaline surge. He immediately activated the body camera attached to his vest. "Ma'am, you just assaulted me. I'm going to have to ask you to put your hands behind your back." Her eyes widened, but not from fear, from shock and fury. "What? You're kidding! I barely touched you! You're pathetic!" Ryan stepped forward, removing the handcuffs from his belt. "Put your hands behind your back. Now." That's when she started screaming. A high-pitched, hysterical scream that made the neighbors start coming out of their houses. "Help! He's attacking me! Someone call the police! This policeman is attacking me!" Ryan tried to grab her arm, but she struggled violently, kicking and scratching. He managed to turn her onto her back and gently push her against the wall of the house, but she continued to writhe like an eel. "Stop resisting! The more you fight, the worse it will get." "I didn't do anything! You're hurting me! Someone film this! He's assaulting me!" 2 neighbors were already filming with their cell phones. Ryan knew he needed to act fast before the situation got completely out of control. With a quick movement, he managed to fasten one of the handcuffs to her wrist, but she twisted her body and tried to bite him. Ryan instinctively recoiled, and she took the opportunity to run towards the front door of the house. "No, ma'am! Come back here!" Ryan ran after her, but she went inside the house and tried to close the door. He pushed the door with his shoulder, preventing her from locking herself inside. "Get out of the house! You're trapped!" She was hysterical now, tears streaming down her face, but not from sadness, from pure, uncontrollable rage. "I'm going to sue you. I'm going to ruin your career. You have no right to enter my house." Ryan pulled out the radio and called for backup. Within 3 minutes, another patrol car arrived with Officer Marcus Webb, a 15-year veteran of the police force who had seen it all. Marcus entered the house and found the woman crouched in the corner of the room, still shouting accusations. "Ryan, what happened here? She pushed me during a routine call. I tried to restrain her, and she resisted. It's all on camera." Marcus nodded and approached the woman with his hands raised in a gesture of peace. "Madam, my name is Marcus. I know you're upset, but you need to cooperate now. The more you resist, the worse it will be for you. Let's resolve this civilly." She looked at Marcus, her eyes red. "He attacked me. I didn't do anything, and he attacked me." Marcus shook his head slowly. "We have everything recorded on the body camera. We know exactly what happened. Now stand up and put your hands behind your back. I'm not going to ask you again." There was a long silence. The woman looked from Marcus to Ryan, then to the door where the neighbors were still watching. She realized she had no way out. Slowly, trembling, she stood up and reached her hands behind her. Marcus handcuffed her firmly, but without brutality. "You are under arrest for assaulting an officer and resisting arrest. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court." As they led her to the police car, she began to cry for real now, but the tears seemed more of self-pity than regret. "This is ridiculous. I'm the victim here. He trespassed on my property." Ryan tucked the handcuffs into his belt and looked at Marcus. "Thanks for coming quickly." Marcus shrugged. "I've seen this before. People who think they can do whatever they want and then play the victim when confronted. It doesn't work anymore." At the police station, the woman, whose name was discovered to be Brittany Caldwell, refused to cooperate with the filing process. She sat in the chair in the interrogation room with her arms crossed, staring at the wall. When Detective Mark Sullivan entered the room with a folder full of papers, she didn't even look at him. "Ms. Caldwell, this is Detective Sullivan. I have a few questions about today's incident. Have you been informed of your rights?" Silence. Mark sighed and placed the folder on the table. "Look, you can stay quiet if you want, but that won't make you disappear from here. We have the body camera footage. We have witnesses. We have everything. The only thing you can do now is cooperate and maybe get a better deal." Brittany finally turned her head and faced him. "I want a lawyer." Mark nodded. "Right. That's your right. I'll arrange for a public defender for you." Brittany spent the night in the holding cell, sharing the space with 2 other women who were there for minor offenses. One of them, a woman in her 50s named Donna, tried to talk to her. "First time here?" Brittany did not respond. Donna laughed. "Ah, you're one of those. You think you're better than everyone else. Let me tell you something, darling. In here, everyone is equal. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, white or black, a police officer or a criminal. Here you're just another one." Brittany pressed her knees to her chest and closed her eyes, trying to block everything out. But Donna's words echoed in her mind. Had she really gone too far? Had she overreacted? No, she thought. She was defending her territory, her rights. It was the police officer who had been aggressive. The following morning, Brittany was taken to court for her arraignment hearing. She was wearing an orange prison uniform and had deep, dark circles under her eyes. Judge Richard Callahan, a 60-year-old man with grey hair and a stern expression, flipped through the papers in front of him. "Ms. Caldwell, you are being charged with assaulting a police officer and resisting arrest. How do you proceed to plead?" Brittany glanced at the public defender beside her, a young lawyer named Trevor, who seemed even more nervous than she was. He whispered something in her ear, but she ignored him and answered the judge directly. "Not guilty." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Innocent. I understand. The state is requesting bail of $20,000 due to the nature of the assault against a law enforcement officer." Trevor stood up quickly. Your Honor, my client has no criminal record. She owns a home and has ties to the community. I request reduced bail or release on bail. The prosecutor, a spirited woman named Lisa Hernandez, stood up. Your Honor, the body camera footage clearly shows the defendant physically assaulting the officer and violently resisting. Arrest. She poses a risk to the community and to the safety of our officers. The judge banged the gavel. Bail maintained at $20,000. Next hearing in 3 weeks. Brittany didn't have $20,000. In fact, she could barely pay her monthly bills. She had to call her mother, Margaret, who lived in Des Moines, 2 hours away. The conversation was tense. Brittany, what have you done? Mom, I didn't do anything. The police officer provoked me. You provoked him? You pushed a police officer, Brittany. What did you expect to happen? He was being aggressive. He trespassed on my property. Margaret took a deep breath. I'll pay the bail, but you'll pay me back. Every penny. And you'll get a real job, not this online jewelry-selling business anymore. Brittany felt the humiliation burn her cheeks. Okay, Mom, thanks. And Brittany, you need help. Therapy, anger management, something. This isn't normal. After being released, Brittany returned to her home on Riverside Avenue. The neighbors watched her with a mixture of curiosity and judgment. She kept her head down and went inside quickly, locking the door behind her. Inside the house, she collapsed onto the sofa and buried her face in her hands. How had she come to this? She'd always considered herself a strong person, someone who wouldn't let herself be walked all over. But now she was facing criminal charges, debt to her mother, and the hostility of the entire neighborhood. For the first time, a small voice of doubt began to whisper in her mind. Could she be wrong? But her voice was quickly drowned out by anger. No, she wasn't wrong. Society was wrong. The police were too aggressive. People were too sensitive. She hadn't done anything wrong. In the following weeks, Brittany immersed herself in social media, searching for similar stories. She found groups of people who also felt they had been treated unfairly by the police. She posted her own story, conveniently omitting the fact that she had pushed the officer first. The comments were mostly supportive. They always abuse their power. The police think they can do whatever they want. I hope you sue them all. Brittany felt a strange validation in those comments. Maybe she really was the victim. Maybe she'd been right all along. But then the body camera video leaked. Someone from the police station shared it with the local press, and within hours it was everywhere. The Cedar Falls Tribune published a story titled, "Woman Assaults Police Officer and Claims Victimization." The video clearly showed Brittany pushing Ryan, shouting false accusations, and violently resisting arrest. Comments on social media have changed drastically. How embarrassing. She clearly pushed the guy. This is what happens when you think you're above the law. Poor police officer. He was just doing his job. Brittany deactivated all her social media accounts. She stopped leaving the house, afraid of being recognized. She did her shopping online and avoided eye contact with anyone. Paranoia began to set in. Every time a car slowly drove by, she thought she was being watched. On the day of the preliminary hearing, Trevor tried to negotiate a deal with Lisa Hernandez. If she pleads guilty to contempt and resisting arrest, will you drop the assault charge? Lisa shook her head. No, she assaulted an officer. That's not going away. The best offer I can make is to recommend a suspended sentence if she pleads guilty to all charges and performs community service and anger management therapy. Trevor returned to Brittany with the offer. She looked at him in disbelief. You want me to plead guilty? But I'm not guilty. Trevor sighed. Brittany, the video doesn't lie. The jury will see this video and convict you. If you go to trial and lose, you could get up to 2 years in prison. With this deal, you're free. Brittany bit her lower lip. She knew Trevor was right, but admitting guilt seemed impossible. It would be admitting she was wrong, that she had overreacted, that she was exactly the kind of person everyone was saying she was. I need to think about it. You have until tomorrow. That night, Brittany called her mother again. Margaret listened silently as Brittany explained the agreement. Accept it, Brittany. But Mom, accept it. You made a mistake, a big mistake. Now you need to take responsibility and move on. Brittany felt tears burning her eyes. I just wanted him to respect me. Respect is earned through actions, not shouting and shoving. Accept the agreement, go to therapy and learn from it. The following day, Brittany pleaded guilty. Judge Callahan accepted the plea deal and sentenced her to 1 year of probation, 200 hours of community service, and weekly anger management therapy sessions. He also prohibited her from having contact with Officer Hutchins. Ms. Caldwell, I hope you will use this time to reflect on your actions. You were fortunate not to have injured the officer, or yourself. I hope not to see you in my courtroom again. Brittany nodded silently and was escorted out of the courthouse. Outside, Trevor shook her hand. Good luck, Brittany. Enjoy this second chance. She didn't answer. She just walked to the parking lot and got into her mother's car. Margaret drove in silence for a few minutes before finally speaking. You're going to be okay. This will pass. Brittany looked out the window, watching the trees rush by. I don't know, Mum. I really don't know. In the following months, Brittany began attending therapy sessions. Her therapist, Dr. Melanie Foster, was a kind but firm woman who did not accept excuses. Brittany, you need to understand that your actions have consequences. You can't just push someone, especially a police officer, and expect nothing to happen. I know, but he was doing his job. You're the one who escalated the situation. It was a bitter pill to swallow, but slowly, very slowly, Brittany began to accept the truth. She had acted badly. She had let anger control her actions, and she had almost destroyed her life because of it. The community service was performed at a shelter for women who were victims of domestic violence. There, Brittany heard stories from women who had faced truly terrible situations, who had been genuine victims, and for the first time she felt shame. Shame at having claimed victim status when she wasn't. Shame at having wasted police time and resources. Shame at having behaved like a spoiled child. When her year of probation finally ended, Brittany had changed. Not completely, but enough to realize she needed to continue working on herself. She enrolled in online conflict management courses and began meditating regularly. She even apologized to her neighbor, who accepted with surprising grace. But she never got to apologize to Officer Hutchins. The restraining order prevented her from doing so. So instead, she wrote a letter to the police department, expressing her regret. She didn't know if Ryan would ever read it, but she needed to do it anyway. Ryan, for his part, had moved on. The incident had been just another in a long career filled with difficult situations. He held no grudge against Brittany. He simply hoped that she had learned her lesson, and perhaps, just perhaps, she really had.